All right, welcome back to the Be Fabbo Podcast. I am your host, BobbiBrinkman, and if you're new here, thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing space with me. And if you are one of our old, true OGs in the Motivated Be Fabbo community, as always, it's always an honor to have you back and sharing space with you as always. It's a privilege I never take for granted. So today, we're going to talk about something that I think is one of the most underrated growth strategies in business. Real connections. Now, we've all heard about networking, and I'm not talking about networking. I'm not talking about engagement strategy, not the kind of relationships building that's just audience development with better vocabulary, right? I'm talking real connections, not just going to the industry event on a Thursday, talking to the same group of people all the time and thinking you walked away with more information on them than you already had. I'm talking about making real connections, the kind that builds slowly through genuine care, honesty, and consistent presence. The kind that grows a business not because you're optimized for it, but because people trust you and want to get to know you more. And trust, once built, compounds into ways that no algorithm, no likes, no follows can replicate. All right? You ready to dive in? Let's do it. I want to start this distinction, right? Let's start this conversation with the distinction that I do feel matters a lot. There's a real difference between having an audience and having a community. An audience is a group of people who consumes what you create. They show up when you publish, they might engage, they're valuable, and I am not dismissing any of that because I have lots of coaching clients who just build an audience by creating digital products or creating t-shirts or mugs or other things. And all they need to do is to create an audience through an email so that when they have a new product, the people buy, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's how you are sustaining your business. That is how you're defining success for you. It is supporting your family, your community. And that is what we want to do. We want you to have your voice and we want you to determine what a successful business looks like to you so that you can build what matters most and you build that business around a life. You want the life to be supported by the business, right? So an audience can do that for you. Now, a community, in my opinion, is something different. A community is a group of people who feel genuinely connected, not just to you, but to each other, who feel seen and known and part of something that matters, right? Who would miss sharing a space if it disappeared, right? Not because of the content that you put in every month, but because of the people. Now, I don't really have a community in that sense, but I have a lot of people that join me on Substack and that are part of the Motivated Be Fabbo. You know, we have a membership there, but it's us talking, but it's not like one of the big Facebook groups. I've never felt comfortable with that because I guess I was just honestly too afraid of some of the haters that would come in. And I want to have a place where you're celebrated, not just tolerated. And it just never worked for me. So I've never been able to really figure out how to take my audience and put it into a community. So I'm one of those who are trying to figure out how to harmonize that, right? How to do that. So I'm building and growing along with many of you. But I wanted to talk about the difference today in audience and community and what connections really are. Because I think if you have a space that you pop into and check, and I do know many of you have those on Facebook, if it was gone, you would miss those people. And I can tell you that back in the Clubhouse days, some of my closest people in my circle were from that community. Now, why the community barely exists anymore, it still exists. And while I still have a big group over there, I don't do as much on that, but I talk to the people outside of that group. So if it wasn't for that community group, I would not have met 7 to 8 really important people in my life and have another 100 that are simple acquaintances that when I go speak somewhere, they show up, right? So I don't want to say the lack of an audience or the lack of a community is good or bad. And I don't want to say that just because you don't have one or the other or both, it's also a bad thing. And maybe bad's not the right word. but I want you to realize that it's more than just your content. It's how you're making people feel connected and how they are walking the walk with you. And here's the thing about belonging. You can't build it through posting a lot. You can't build it on a platform of strategy or the right contact mix. You generally have to show care. You generally have to answer an email and text. And that's what I try to do. Even those of you know my learning differently, if you send me a text, I'm going to come back to you. If you send me a DM, I'm going to answer you. It may take me a little bit, but I get back to you because I care about you. And if you took the time to respond to me or send me an email or a voicemail or a voice memo, my favorite way to get things is a voice memo, then I'm going to reply back to you. So I still think we're building community, just not to be where everybody can be connected all at once. But then again, it also, I think, is a lesson in stepping out of your comfort zone and reaching out to somebody that's in a group or in a community and taking the steps to make that connection, right? Because you can post every single day and you can come up with all kinds of downloads and everything else, but is that building the connection? It's helping the person solve a problem, and I'm all for that. I love doing that with these podcasts and with audio series that I have. But how do you build that genuine care? That specific personal alternative, attentive kind of care that makes an individual feel seen and heard and know that they matter. Not just as subscribers or followers, but as humans. And even over on Substack, I have a lot of free subscribers and I'm growing over there. I mean, I'm just growing on Substack. So I don't even have 100 subscribers yet, but I am learning to be there for each and every person. And my goal is not to have a certain number of subscribers. My goal is to help everybody over there build what matters most. And that's what I want to do with Substack. Kind of like what I do here in the podcast for years. I'm helping you grow mindset, motivation, momentum. I'm helping you build a business that looks and sounds like you, that will support the life that you want. So, and not consume you. So I think that we have built a community within the Motivated Be Fabbo community, just not by what quote Facebook community looks like, right? Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, Bobby, that sounds great, but it doesn't scale. And you're right, it doesn't. I'm not about building an empire. I never wanted to build an empire. I want to have those with me that need something I can offer and that I also learn from what they have. So it's a give and take, a take and a give, and a win-win for everybody. I don't feel I could personally do that with tens of thousands of people. I would lose touch with those people. Again, nothing wrong. I have plenty of friends and I have some coaching clients who have thousands and thousands. One of them even has like over 100,000 on their email list. That's just too much for me. It's how I don't want to have my business. I didn't want to run a hustle empire business, but I want to be with the people that need, that I can serve and I can make an impact with, but I also can learn from them, right? It's a win-win for all of us, right? So community and an audience really isn't going to scale your business. But here's what I know from 40 years of building real relationships with real clients. The connections that don't scale are the ones that compound. I've learned this. In my 40 years of building my business, I built relationships first with real clients. And to this day, I can tell you, I can be honest with you, my doctor, my primary care doctor is one of my past clients, one of my past brides, right? So many people in my life right now, 40 years later, I still cheer for their kids or I show up for a kid's party. I'm still invited to family functions. That's real relationships and real clients. And they did the work for me over those 40 years of continuing to share about me and what I do. And that built my business. A client who generally feels that they've become an advocate who sent everyone to me that they cared about. They generally said, hey, if you want to have this type of photography, you need to call Bobby. They became my salesperson, my billboard. They're the advocate for me. And now dealing with Parkinson's and it's this new season, they've also sent me plenty of tips and updates and connections for doctors. Those relationships that took 20 real minutes tend to really become a referral source that built my business for a decade. And those 20 minutes or 30 minutes of an in-person meeting and then doing the work with them and then staying in touch with them generally wanted to cheer on and be there as their family grew for good times and bad times. That's how I built my business all these years. Real connection is not a detour from growth. It's the most direct path of the kind of growth that lasts. Here's one of the things I see most builders, when they're business owners and entrepreneurs, get wrong about connection. They broadcast when they should be conversing. They post and they move on. They respond to comments efficiently rather than attentively. They're visible without being present. Now, I am not knocking again. Here on the podcast, I really want it to be to help you see things differently. So if you have a social media manager that just posts and posts and posts and then comments for you, and it's working for you, then keep doing what you need to do. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep building as you're building. But if things are feeling not in a line and they don't feel connection with you anymore, then take a look at what you can maybe subtract, something you can change, and a way to just shift how you're thinking about it. Because posting and moving on isn't going to build that relationship that you need. And then there's that feeling that comes from that, right? There's a feeling that comes from just posting, moving on, and commenting instead of being attentive. And it comes on both sides. The person creating content starts to feel like they're shouting into a room, showing up consistently, but not quite connecting, because are you even asking in the post for connection? If you're just asking random questions, does the question meet who you're trying to reach to? So you feel like you're just shouting and showing up and your wheels are spinning. But this is what the industry tells us we need to do. This is what the world says to do. Post, post, post. The algorithm changes every day. They change the sizes. It changes what time to post. All these things come into just having a conversation. And then the people consuming it starts to feel like they're just watching someone build content and follow the trends, rather than being in a real relationship with them or trying to help solve their problem, or even show that the services that you offer is something that they need. The fix is simpler than most people think. It starts with a specific personal attention. Not to everyone. That's not realistic, and that's not what I'm suggesting. But I also understand that if you serve everyone, you're serving no one, right? Not everyone is going to be your right fit client. I don't really say ideal, because I think there's a right fit. And your right fit clients just haven't heard your message yet. They haven't found something in what you're posting or where you are that has made them think, okay, this is the person for me. But when you build those relationships and somebody else, if Susie tells Debbie how wonderful you are on a family photo when one of the kids got really sick and you had to delay it, or when I was out on a photo shoot, somebody got stung by a bee, we had to take 20 minutes. Well, we waited. Even though I had other schedules, I simply worked with my clients. I built a relationship that I could tell the next client we were running a little bit late. Because you have to be human. You have to show that you care, because we're all going through something. They're trying to manage a family. You're trying to manage a business. But without that family, maybe your business isn't going to be able to sustain. So you have to be patient and build. This is what life teaches us. So not everyone is going to be someone you need to give personal attention to or to pause. And you really need to think about who you're speaking to, who you're shouting at, and who you're shouting to, and who you're trying to reach in your posts and your blogs, on a podcast guest, wherever it is you're trying to show up. But to some people, deliberately and regularly, you need to reach out to them. They need to know that you see them. Now, it might take a while. The person has been quietly showing up for your work for 6 months. Have you ever reached out and said, hey, I've noticed you've been around for a while. Hope glad you're enjoying the content. You're still here. Is there something specifically I can help you with? Is there something that you're looking for? Do not be afraid, because the answer that comes back, you probably can solve. And if you can't, you can figure out a way to have a conversation and say, oh, that is something I'm not, proficient in, but I do have a referral for you. The number of times, I can be honest with you, the number of times I have said to somebody, I am sorry, I am booked for that day, but let me help you find somebody that I think will be a good fit for you, the right fit for you. And then the next time it came around, that person came back to me because I took the time to make sure I used my connections and I used my references and my resources to help find them somebody that I feel would be a good fit for them. I took one thing away from them that they were worried about, and I helped solve that problem. The subscriber who replies to your email with 3 thoughtful paragraphs, Did you write these 3 thoughtful paragraphs back? Did you answer instead of just saying, hey, thanks for commenting? I know it takes time, but we spend so much time thinking of a post or a caption or finding that right photo or trying to create that right content that sometimes a simple couple lines or 3 paragraphs back after somebody has taken the time to write you or reach out to you, man, it will go so much further than all that time and will give you so much better real results than all that time you put into building content that you're not even sure if it's hitting the person or your right fit client. The peers in your space who that you work generally admire, have you told them specifically what you appreciate about them? Have you sent a DM or reached out with an email or a text if you have their number and said, hey, I just want to let you know, I've been watching you grow. I've been watching the work that you're doing. And I generally am so proud of what I'm seeing from you. It's really, really good. And I'm glad that you are finding a level of success that matches what you're looking for. Let them know that you respect what they're doing, right? Those specific acts of genuine attention multiplied over time and what turn an audience into a community, right? It turns your audience into a community. I spent 40 years showing up for people's most important moments, births, weddings, milestones, and even the last family portraits before somebody passes away. And what I've learned from all those moments is this: the people who felt most genuinely seen became the most loyal, the most grateful, the most likely to send me everyone they knew. They weren't always the ones with the most beautiful photos. They weren't the ones sometimes that spent the biggest amount of money with me. The photos were never perfect because I don't go for perfect. I want to capture who you are right now. And even in the saddest moments of a baby passing, or that last photo of a grandparent, or of a beloved family pet, those photos were not the most beautiful photos, but they were beautiful moments that will only grow stronger in their memories when they look at these photos. They were the ones who felt genuinely known from me and generally seen from me, and they knew my process. They're the ones that knew I would pour as much into them as they were pouring into me. And that's it. That's a simple way to make a connection and to build a relationship, right? They're the ones who genuinely felt seen and heard by me. Seen, known, cared for specifically. Not as a booking, not as a transaction, but as a person. And that is the foundation of every relationship in photography and business and community building. Whatever niche you're in, whatever industry you're in, build these relationships and build them with others in the industry with you. It's about the human first, the strategy never. This week, I want you to do this. Find one person in your industry, in your world, a reader, a subscriber, a follower, a peer, who have been consistently showing up for everything you're building, not purchasing or being a buyer, but shows up, maybe give you likes, gives you a heart, maybe even a simple comment. The ones who are there, the ones who haven't unsubscribed, the ones who have been reading your emails for months, years, and never comment back, but are still there. Reach out to them, not with a pitch, not with a marketing message, but with something genuine. Tell them specifically what their engagement has meant to you and what it means to you and how you hope that you're continuing to let them know that they're seen. Then ask them something real about where they are right now in their building, in their growth, in the season of their life. And let them know you see them. One person, one genuine message. That's the practice. And I promise you, the responses you get will remind you why you started building in the first place and why you opened your business to make the impact that you're making. Now, they may not get back to you right away, but they are going to remember that you reached out to them and saw them. And maybe they don't even say anything to you this time, but they will remember that you commented and that you reached out. Connection is what we're building over on Substack, the Be Fabbo Substack, and I would love for you to be a part of that. Like this week's Wednesday post will go deep into what real connections really mean, what gets in the way, and why the business that last are built on trust rather than reach and transactions. And then, of course, on Friday, I have a short guided video, audio, reflection, with a few prompts to help you see who's already on your side and on your team and in your world, and take one genuine step closer for a deeper connection. All that is free. So join me over on Substack. The link's in the show notes. Come be a part of that community. I want you to remember this from today's episode. The deepest roots grow the tallest trees, right? The deepest roots grow the tallest trees. Every genuine connection you build, every person who feels fully seen by your work is a root. You don't need thousands of them to build something extraordinary. You need enough of the right ones, tended to with real care over real time. Go tend one of your really strong people right now. Go tend to one of somebody who has been there with you, who isn't speaking and commenting back, but is still there. I'm cheering you on to reach whatever destination of success you want to be, but I'm cheering you on to build what matters most. And I'm here to offer you the tools and the framework to help you do that. Not to change you, not to make you somebody different, but to welcome you to come back home to yourself, because you're already Fabbo exactly where you are and exactly who you are. Till next week, my friends, go reach out and make a genuine connection. Trust me, your business will grow. And that is what matters most. Growing a real business to support the life so that you can continue to make the impact you're here to make.